What if I told you that one small country on the edge of Europe once controlled trade routes across the oceans? Created some of the world's greatest explorers and gave the world one of football's biggest legends. Welcome to Portugal, a country of golden beaches, ancient castles, colorful cities, emotional music, and unforgettable sunsets. At first glance, Portugal may seem like a quiet European nation. But hidden behind its peace streets is a country with one of the most fascinating stories on earth. Portugal sits on the western edge of Europe beside the Atlantic Ocean, and for centuries that ocean changed everything. More than 500 years ago, while much of the world remained unexplored, Portuguese sailors were crossing dangerous seas into the unknown. Tiny wooden ships left Portugal's ports searching for new lands, new trade routes, and new opportunities. And somehow they changed history forever. Explorers like Vasco da Gama opened sea routes to India, while Portuguese expeditions reached Africa, Brazil, and parts of Asia. For a time, Portugal became one of the richest and most powerful empires in the world. Imagine this. A small nation with barely a few million people controlling global trade routes across multiple continents. That alone sounds unbelievable. But Portugal isn't trapped in the past. Today, the country is one of Europe's most loved travel destinations, attracting millions of visitors every year with its beauty, relaxed lifestyle, and incredible culture. And it all begins in Lisbon. The capital city looks like something from a movie. Old yellow trams climbing steep hills while musicians play in narrow streets below colorful buildings. From above, red rooftops stretch toward the Atlantic Ocean as the evening sun paints the city gold. Lisbon is also one of the oldest cities in Europe, older than many famous capitals people usually talk about. But if Lisbon is the heart of Portugal, then Porto is its soul. Located in the north, Porto is famous for riverside reviews, historic bridges, and the drink that made the city globally famous, port wine. At night, reflections from the city lights dance across the Douro River while cafes remain full of conversation and music. And then there is the Algarve, massive cliffs, hidden beaches, blue Atlantic water crashing against golden rocks. Some places in southern Portugal honestly look too beautiful to be real. This is why travelers from around the world come here for vacations, suffering, road trips, and sunsets that feel cinematic even without filters. But there's another thing Portugal is obsessed with: football. In Portugal, football is not just entertainment, it's emotion. Children play in narrow streets, cafes explode with energy during matches, and entire cities celebrate victories late into the night. And of course, Portugal gave the world Cristiano Ronaldo. Born on the island of Madeira, Ronaldo became one of the greatest football players in history. For millions of Portuguese people, he represents discipline, ambition, and national pride. Even today, his influence can be felt everywhere in the country. But Portugal's culture goes far beyond football. One of the most emotional parts of Portuguese life is fado music. Slow, powerful, deeply emotional songs filled with love, heartbreak, and nostalgia. Sometimes performed in the tiny candlelit restaurants, fado feels less like music and more like someone telling their life story through song. And then comes the food. Portugal may not always dominate global food rankings, but visitors are often shocked by how delicious it is. Fresh seafood is everywhere. Grilled sardines, octopus dishes, and the legendary bacalhau, salted cod fish prepared in hundreds of different ways. But perhaps the country's most famous sweet is the pastel de nata, a warm custard tart with a crispy crust that has become famous around the world. One bite and you understand why people stand in long lines just to buy them fresh from the oven. Now, here is a surprising fact. Portugal produces around half of the world's cork. Yes, the same cork used in wine bottles. And Portuguese cork is now used in fashion, furniture, and even space technology. Another thing many visitors notice is how peaceful life feels here. Compared to many fast-moving countries, Portugal feels calmer. People spend long evenings talking in cafes, families gather outdoors during festivals, and life often feels more connected to simple pleasures. Maybe that's why so many travelers fall in love with this country. Because Portugal is not trying to impress you loudly. It slowly wins you over. Through its streets, its music, its food, its ocean vibes, and its atmosphere. through its streets, its music, its food, its ocean views, and its atmosphere. From powerful explorers and football legends to breathtaking coastlines and ancient cities, Portugal proves that even small countries can leave a massive mark on the world. And maybe that's what makes Portugal special. It's not just a place you visit, it's a place you feel. Portugal is not just a country, it is a feeling that some places on this earth were put here not just to be visited, but to be felt deeply, remembered forever, and longed for long after you have left. The Portuguese have a word for this feeling, saudade, a deep emotional longing for something beautiful that has passed. And perhaps that is Portugal's greatest gift to the world. Not its explorers, not its empire, not even its food or its music, but this one word that captures what every human heart has felt at least once in their life. The longing for something you love. Portugal understood that feeling so deeply. They gave it a name. This was Nation by Nation. Until next week, keep exploring this beautiful world.